Okay, so I'm going to use opaque white and opaque black. Make sure that you check out Adele's Instagram account, as she does the original in LE bands, and it does look best in LE, but it also looks good in any other bands as well. I would be very, very cautious on dual layer or anything that is sticky, because our biggest task for this bracelet is to make sure that our bands do not cross. So our first band here, we're just going to make a cap band, and I already had mine done. And we want to add a C-clip to it because we're going to be using this cap band. So go ahead and add a C-clip. To the end. Okay, so we're going to take another one of that color, and we're going to be working out of the right band. In my case, because I'm left-handed, we're going to be working with this first band closest to the hook, and we're going to leave this last band, hold it with your finger, we're not going to be using it. So we're going to slide a new band through, and then we're going to recapture that cap band one, and then close it up. This is the only time we're only going to recapture one band at the beginning. Okay, so you want to keep your hand on these two over here. We're going to take a new band, and we're going to place the first two closest to our hook on the new band, like that. And you can see naturally the first band closest to your hook stays down, and this band is up. We want to take this band here, put it back up on our hook, and then close it up. Okay? These two are going to look like they're crossed, but they're supposed to, because that's what will give it the braid look on the side. So we're going to do that one more time. Place a band, take the first two bands closest to your hook over, and then reclaim the second band, and then close it up. So again, most important thing is to make sure that your bands are not crossed, and that you should have 5 bands in that set. So we used the right side of the cap band, and we built 5 bands off of it. So we're always going to be working in sets of 5. Okay, so I highly suggest that you use a double-sided hook, or at least a long stemmed crochet hook, because you have to transfer to the other side. I tried to do it on the Rainbow Loom hook. I did my first rendition on it, and it is quite challenging because the hook part is so short, because we're going to do the exact same thing on this side, which will give us a total of 10 bands. Okay, so we're going to hold on to these 5 bands over here, and make sure they are always in the correct order. Let me try to zoom in a bit. That they're always in that order. Okay, don't make sure they don't overlap. And we're going to repeat the exact same thing on this side. So we're going to take a band, take over that right side of that cap band, and reclaim it and close it up. So as we're holding on to these 5 bands, now we want to hold on to this band here, and we're only going to be working out of the first 2. So as we did last time, we want to take over the 2 bands closest to our hook, and just naturally this band falls under the hook, and the one that's sticking up, reclaim and close it up. Okay, so that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need to have a group of 5. So we do that one more time. Take the first 2 bands closest to your hook over, reclaim the last band, and then close it up. Okay, so we should have 2 groups. This is the first group that we did, and we have 5 bands, and that's the second group that we did, and we have 5 bands, thus all working off of that cap band. So you can see why it was important to put that C-clip on there. Okay? Now, once you have your hook filled with the same color, you have to turn it. Oh, and trust me, the things that I tell you you have to do is because I didn't, and I learned my lesson. So let's turn this around. Okay, so this is what should be on your hook. This is what it should look like. So I like to break it down into 2 groups. So at the bottom, you see you have your, let me zoom in. Okay, we worked out of that cap band. So we have out of the left side of the cap band, 5 bands, out of the right side of the cap band, 5 bands. When you let them hang just by themselves, you can kind of see that the left 2 and the right 2 like to hang by themselves, and then these center 3 kind of go together. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to start working with our next color. And we're always going to be working in groups of 6. So you want to grab 6 bands of that color and put the new band on your hook. So out of this group, and the reason I tried to break it down into groups was to kind of show you, the first 2 bands that lay next to your hook, they're going to go over top on that new band. Okay, so out of what's remaining on your hook, out of that right group, we took the first 2 and the 3 are remaining. Okay, we're going to let them remain on our hook. We're not going to do anything with them. What we are going to do is take the first 3 out of this left group of 5, and we're going to pull those over our hook. Okay, so you want to hold everything tight, make sure you're grabbing the right bands. So we take 1 over the hook, 2 over the hook, and the last 3 over the hook. Okay, so out of that left group of 5, you have 2 left. Out of that right group of 5, we have these 3 left. Okay, and so we should have 5 bands on our hook. So we always want to keep our hand on this new band, this black one. Keep your finger on it tight, because when we start reclaiming, we don't want anything to cross over that band. So now our goal is to recapture some bands in a couple steps, so that way we get rid of all the whites and we end up with all blacks. So anytime you have 5 bands on this new band, we always want to pick up the first 2. Okay? Make sure, because they're ready to slide over that black band, make sure you're taking a good hold of that band so they don't slide over. Okay, now we have 3 bands left on our new band. We want to always make the first 2 closest to the hook always stay. And we always pick up the last band. Okay? And make sure my band's not crossed. And then we recapture. Okay? So even though I'm holding on to that black band, you see how close those white bands want to cross over, because you can see they're coming from all the way over there. So we want to push everything, make sure everything is nice and tight in the right order. No bands are crossed. And we want to grab another black band. I'm sorry, I have to reference in color. I think it's easier that way for the tutorial. So the first band that's sticking up, that new black one, automatically goes over our hook. And now we take the remainder white bands, so that's the next 3, and pop those over our hook. So now we have 3 bands right there. Now from this step, we only take the first band, not the first two, just the first band, and recapture. So again, when you recapture, make sure you're holding on to this black band over here so it doesn't slide. So like before, we let the middle two bands stay and just recapture the last one and then close it up. So when we close it up, we should only have one white band left out of that group, and it's coming from all the way over here, so we have to make sure that it stays in the right spot, and you see why it gives that nice pattern look there. So then our last step is to take and pull over that last white band. So first go the first two black ones, and then the last remainder white goes over, and now all we have to do is reclaim this black one here and then close it up. Now we have all the black bands on our hook, and all of that set of white are woven down there like that. Okay, so we have to do the same exact thing on the opposite side. So we want to push this down, making sure that your bands do not fall out of order, and turn our hook around. So we want to make sure that our first set of black stay put, that we're not using them, we're not touching them, but we're going to hold on to them because we don't want them to twist around. You see how nice and tight that came out there? And we're still making sure that black band stays on the left. So we have 3 white bands that we need to get rid of. So again, we add another band, automatically take over the first band, and then we need to take over the remainder white bands, which are 3. Making sure that all of our bands are staying in order. Holding on to these black bands here because we don't want anything to cross. So now when we only have 3 bands on our hook, we just want to grab the first and recapture, and then we want to grab the last and recapture, and then close it up. Okay, so you see that white band that's crossed right there? That's this one right here. So we want to make sure that everything stays nice and tight and in order. The tighter you can keep it, the better the design will come out. Okay, so our last step, which we have 1 band out of 6 left, is to take over all 3 of these bands, the first 2 black ones and the last white band, like that. And the only one to recapture is the last band, and then close it up. So if you held everything nice and tight and kept all of your bands nice and straight, you should have a beautiful pattern started like that. Okay, so we are now back in the beginning where we have 2 sets of 5. These bands want to stay over there by themselves, those bands 3 and 3. We have to turn our bracelet around. I did not do that when I first did this, and your next pattern will be crooked. So when you're at the beginning of your pattern, turn your bracelet or turn your hook around, okay? And then we're going to start with our next color again. So grab 6 bands, and just like before, we're going to take the first 2 out of our right group of 5, leave the remainder 3. Out of our left group of 5, we want to take these 3 middle bands over the top of our hook. That's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and we want to make sure that when we take them over, that they're straight and not crossed. Now I tried to take all three at once. I can see that it's a lot easier to take one at a time. So every time that we have 5 bands over our hook, we always want to reclaim the first 2. Okay? When we reclaim the first 2, we then reclaim the last band out of that set. And then we close it up. Again, always making sure we're keeping a hold of these bands over here. So, like these 2 black ones, they don't slide over because they're going to try to. So these over here I'm holding them real nice and tight. This white band is staying put, and these 3 black ones and this white one, we grab a new band and we pull all 3 of those over. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so keep a good grip on these 2 white ones. When we only have 4 bands on our hook, we only reclaim the first band and the last band, leaving the middle 2 under our hook. And then we close it up. So it's very important that we keep this black band here, because it's that crisscross band. We keep it nice and tight over here, and then we take our last and we pull all 3 of these bands over our hook like that. And the only band to recapture is the last band by your hand, and then close it up. Okay, so we want to make sure everything is on here nice and tight. And we just created our first group of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now we want to do the same on the opposite side, so we have to turn our hook, and you want to make sure that no bands get crisscrossed. Make sure they all stay in the right order. And now our goal again is to take these 5 black bands and put them in our pattern and replace them with white bands. So this time we're just going to take all 5 remaining black bands and put them over our hook. Okay? Make sure you keep a good hold of this band here, and anytime we take 5, we're reclaiming the first 2. We're letting 2 sit, and we're reclaiming the last, and then close it up. Okay? By doing that, that leaves 3 black bands remaining, and then we want to keep a hold of this white band so these black bands don't cross, like that. So everything should be nice and snug right now, because we're making sure everything's aligned. So we take our next white band, take that white first one over, and the remainder 3 black bands, like that. So when we only have the 3 remaining black bands, we only take the first and recapture, and then we take the last and recapture, which is always our new color, and then we close it up. Okay, again, this band, make sure it's nice and snug over on the right, and these bands are all grouped on the left there without crossing. And now we want to take our last band and pull over the 2 new white ones, and then the last color, like that, only reclaiming the last band, like that, and then closing it up. Okay? It's not hard. Just got to make sure that everything is staying nice and tight. Okay, so that's what you should have so far. It's the same on both sides. And there we go. We started our new pattern where we have 5 and 5. So when we have all of the same color, we need to flip to the other side. If we don't, your pattern will start growing crooked. Okay, so we turned it around. And just like before, you can see on the left group of 5, the first 2 kind of stay over by themselves, and on the right group of 5, those 2 kind of stay by themselves. And then these 2 groups in the middle like to sit by each other. Okay, so I'm going to show you your 2 groups. So we take 6 of our next color, okay, so when we're first starting out, we always take the first 2 closest to our hook over out of that right group of 5, and then we leave the remaining 3 of that group on our hook. So on our left group of 5, we want to take these 3 bands over our hook. Trying to do it where I can, best way to show. You see that? One of them snuck over. Okay, so we want to make sure this group stays by itself. So we pull the first white, the second white, and that third white, making sure that that first group of 3 is still on our hook. We have the back 2, and then our new color is this black band here. We're going to hold that one real tight so no bands cross. So again, we have 5 bands on our over our hook, so we have to grab the first 2, put them back on, making sure that they don't slide over that black band. We leave the next 2, recapture the last, and then close it up. Okay, keep a hold of that black one there so it doesn't slide. And now we take another, and now we're pulling the first black one of our new color over, and then the remaining 3 white ones. Like that, making sure we're going to hold on to that black band that's on our hook. Now, we only take the first band and recapture this time. And then we take the last band, which is our new color, like that, and then we close it up. Okay, so that's our last band that we need to weave in the pattern. I'm going to make sure it's nice and tight over on the right side of my hook. So we take our band and we just have 3 to come over the top, 2 of the same color, and then our last remaining white band. So take this black one on our hook, push it back. So now the only band that we reclaim is the last band, like that, and then we close it up. Alright, so we have to turn and repeat. Okay, so we have our new group of 5 we just created on the left. Now we have this group of 5 over here on the right. So when we have that, then we have to pull all remaining white bands over our hook, like that. So we're going to keep a hold of this black band we just placed on our hook. So when we have 5 bands, we always grab the first 2. We let the second 2 sit under our hook and then reclaim the last, putting 3 of that white back on our hook and then close it up. Okay, so keep a hold of these bands, making sure that they're not crisscrossed. Take our next band. We're going to take the black band and the remaining 3 bands over our hook. Push this black band back, and now we're only going to reclaim that first band closest to our hook and then the last band, which is our new color. And close it up. Okay, so that leaves that long white stretchy one left. Making sure everything's straight and nice and tight. We take another band and we pull these 2 black and this last white band over like that, and this time we only reclaim the last band and then close it up. Okay, so this is what you should have. It's nicely tight, nice tight woven bracelet, that's for sure. So we are back to our 2 groups of 5 in the same color. So in that case, we want to turn our bracelet around and start it over. So remember, we have 1 group of 5 and our second group of 5. So we grab 6 of our next color, and then we want to take over the first 2 bands closest to our hook. We want to keep the next 3 on our hook and then just pull over the next 3, making sure that they don't cross. Okay, they should be nice and even right here. So again, when we have 5 bands over our hook, we grab the first 2 and reclaim, and the last. Reclaim, and then close it up. And making sure that this new color over here, we're holding on tight so nothing gets past it. Take our next band, pull over the first white one, and the 3 remainder black ones. Okay, so that leaves 2 white bands on our hook there. Hold them tight so nothing gets past. And now we only reclaim the first band and the last band. And close it up. So I let one of my bands go, and I almost got them crisscrossed. So you got to make sure we have that one long band that stretches over, and that one should be there. So I let it cross, and that's a bad thing. Okay, so make sure that they are in the correct order, and then we grab our last one, pull over the first 2 white and that remainder black band, and then the only thing we recapture is the last band, and close it up. So once we get all of our color down in the pattern and we replace it with our new color, you should always have 5. Okay, so then we need to flip it over and repeat. But when we flip it over, this time we put all 5 bands on our hook, making sure they all stay in order. Push that down, reclaim the first 2 and the last one. leaving 3 of that previous color. Take your next band, pull over that white one, the remainder 3, like that. Now we're only reclaiming the first band and the last band, and close it up. We have 1 of the remaining color left, so we take our next band and pull over that last black band, making sure everything is in a line, and we're only reclaiming the last band and closing it up. And we just created our next group of 5. So that puts us right back to the beginning. So I think you guys should be good. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 patterns that we've done. If you need any more help, please go back, rewind to see how it's done. So I'll let you guys work on your bracelet, and we'll meet back here to close it up. Alright, so once you're at the point where it is long enough to fit your wrist, we can go ahead and close it up. So you want to make sure that you're at the beginning of your pattern, which is where you have 10 bands all of the same color, and we're going to start it the way we normally do. So you take the first 2 over and skip the next 3, and then 1, oof, doesn't want to go, 2, 3, okay. But for the closing, we're not going to pick up any of these bands, meaning we usually pick up the first 2, but we are going to pick up the last one, like that, and then close that up. Okay, so then we're going to do the same for the other side. So we take another band and we slide over the 5 remaining black bands, and only recapturing the last, close it up. So that should give you 6 bands on your hook, and then we're just simply going to take a band, and I'm going to make mine white because I started out with white, and you're just going to put all the bands on your hook onto this white band and close it up. So that's a simple way to close it. And there you have your M bracelet. So another wonderful, great design by my dear friend Adele Griffiths. We love her. It's very tight woven. It's just a perfect bracelet. So please, please make sure you give her a follow on Instagram. It's well worth it. And hashtag your renditions to us. Hashtag the M bracelet, Adele and myself, and have fun making more. And this also goes in line with Adele's other bracelet, the lattice bracelet, which you can find on Amanda and Monica are Loomy. They have their own YouTube channel, so they did a wonderful tutorial on that one. So hope you had fun and got more coming your way, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.